Okay, now, Hashkafa is a whole other story. I'm going to quote you a Rashi. It says when people would bring their Meiser Sheni to the base of Mikdash, there's something that they said, no, Bikurim. They would say, Hashkifa ma'on kachecha, look down from your holy place and bless your people. Rashi says, Kol hashkafa l'ra'ah, chutz mi hashkifa ma'on kachecha. Okay, so Hashkafa means outlook. The word Hashkafa is a word you will not find earlier than I would say at most 1920. At most, it's 100 years old. For Rambam, there were tzaddikim, rishayim, and beinanim. If you just watch his Hashkafa, he would not know what you're talking about. But here's where things got complicated. Things got complicated after World War II. It began before that with the Haskalah, but it became much more complicated after World War II, where people who were under serious rabbinic guidance from people like the Chasam Sofer, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Gerer Rebbe, Rav Hirsch and his Talmidim, Rav Breuer and Rav Gilei, these people are now living together. They were previously living in their own Dalit Amos. Now they're living together. And people of our generation may be in a situation where you could look at your parents or grandparents and say, yes, that's where I want to go. Or you may be not. So you now get to choose a tradition. But the tradition is only a tradition. There are Taryag mitzvahs. One of them is not name your Hashkafa. You could feel what you feel, and you could go where you go, and you could read what you read. But let him do that also. Don't try to convert him. So, as an aside, the fact is obviously min hashamayim that right now we have this huge menu of hashkafas, which we haven't had historically. Okay, it's also part of the plan that especially now, where Achdus is so important, that we only talk about what's positive in various hashkafas. So when I was a student in Bnei Brak, about 800 years ago, so the principal, Rav Wolf, was a Yekka, and he saw, when he came to Israel, he saw the menu. And certainly, given the life that he wanted to lead, he realized that the Gedolei Dor here in Israel were not in the path that he was leading in Germany. So he became a follower of the Chazon Ish. He was clear-headed enough to do that. So he would give up classes, and once the girls asked about Hashkafa, which is the correct Hashkafa, I want to tell you what he said. He wouldn't give the names of any particular groups. He said there's one group, for instance, in which you see the result of the Hashkafa in the behavior of the group. The women are extraordinarily tzanua. Okay, their katped on tznius, their refinement is unsurpassed. Okay, there's another group whose Mesiras Nefesh for Eretz Yisrael is in their blood, and it's unsurpassed. And he went on with other examples. Don't learn tznius from group B and Mesiras Nefesh for Israel from group A. Learn the strongest points from each group, but just see that you yourself are following a Rav, because without a Rav, you die of thirst for Torah. So if your husband found a path, he was fortunate enough to find a path, okay, your role is to, again, help him actualize himself in that path, and your own ideas can exist, but don't try to convert him or distract him from his own journey. So I'll give you an example. When I got married the first time, I had come from, at that point, where I was coming from was Chabad. So I know that in marriage there has to be one voice, just like in a country there has to be one prime minister. So I asked my future husband, do I have to change my nusach for you? So he said, he'll ask. So he asked if it was either the Stipler or Reb Chaim. I think it was the Stipler. And he said, she davens, be happy. Okay. Like she davens. That's what it's for. Okay. And in my first marriage, where my husband was very staunchly Litvish, the only time I ever put my foot down, we would disagree sometimes, just argue stamps the way people talk, was at one point he said something very negative about Hasidim at the table where the children were, and I said, I'm not going to let you turn the children into misnagdim. And that was the last time he ever did that, and it's the last time I ever said anything like that. But that's, you have to let the person be themselves.